So this will be a tutorial unlike any other I've filmed so far. I'm going to make a tutorial on this train you see here. So I'd recommend you watch this video over once before trying to build it, just so you get an overall idea on what to do. Unlike the other tutorials, I have not memorized this design because it's so large. And it's also fairly complicated, so I'm going to assume you have a strong background in magnetic sculpting before you attempt this. So, that being said, without memorizing the parts, what I'm going to have to do is I have a disassembled version of the train that you just saw, and I'm just going to use that for reference at point to point. I'll do my best to edit out any time delays, but it's not going to be quite as smooth as other tutorials. Sorry about that. Okay, so starting out, here's your magnet chain. It's 15 sets, so I recommend you just lay it all out, but you could, keep in bundles if you'd still like. Start by making a ring of 24. So, look like that. And then make it a 2-layer ring. So it'll look like that. And for reference of this, same length. Next thing you do, copy it 5 times. So you have a total of 5. So that's only copying it 4 times. So you could just continue layering on this. So now you have 4 layers, which is enough for 2. Just copy it a couple more times. And now that you have this, fold it in half. When you fold it in half, make sure the top looks like that, so you have little magnets sticking out the sides, and just cut it into little stacks of 2. And once you have all those, just stick them together. So what you have right now is kind of a flexible thing that's only flexible like this and like this. It's going to have a staggered bond on the side. Basically, it's a bunch of little loops of staggered bonds, and then they're attached in parallels. So this will be the top of your train. So back to the train. Just completed this part. We're going to work on these little parts here and this kind of cabin right here. This is the top 3 layers here. So the little supports are pretty simple, just rings of 4, columns of 4 that are 6 high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stack them together, just like that. Copy 4 of those. Pay attention to polarity. So far, I've been working in this direction, and I'm copying, and this will be the top. Same with this. This is top. Just remember the polarities. Alright, so you have all those done. So the next part is this cabin. It's pretty odd in design, so you're going to want a ring of 19 to start out with. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Ring of 19. And then you're going to copy it 3 times, so now you have this. And now you get a ring of 26. So this is 6, 6, 12, 12, 24, 25, 26. And then with this ring of 26, make sure the polarity is correct on this. Yes, it is. And with this ring of 26, you're going to also put a couple more layers on it. And then you're just gonna plop it on top. And you're going to need to fit that ring of 19 on the inside, however you can. And then you'll end up with some kind of misshapen blob like that. So it's going to have one point sticking out a bit. So squeeze it a bit. You're going to want to shape it so it's kind of a pentagon. See how this is. And so you'll have one point on the tip, as you can see, and then there's going to be some gaps here. So it's hard to make this exact. It's really, part of it's just kind of a shot in the dark, unfortunately. But here I have it. So you're going to have, including a point, you're going to have 4 here, and there's a small gap kind of there, and then 2 large gaps here, and it's mostly square. So now you have the second part of the cabin. Okay, so we'll just create the main body of the chain right now. So just make a ring of 6. Add 2 layers, so it's 3. And then reverse the polarity and add another 3 layers. So the next layer is reversed. This is just to make it rounder. So I have something that looks like the small wheel I made before. And then reverse it one more time. And add another layer. Anyways, so what you're trying to create is kind of a puck. This is concave, this is convex. It's going to be the front of your train, so make one more ring of 6, put it down in the middle, and put a magnet in the middle of that. So, the front of your train, and then next part of your train is going to be a little trickier. I think there's a ring of 18. But anyway, so you copy the polarity here, and then you're going to want to make, you're going to work behind it. So you see how this is train, this would be the front of the train, this is following it. So you're going to want to work this way. So put your magnet ring, keep your magnet chain behind the ring, and add 2 more in this direction, and then you're going to flip 1. This is just to create designs on the body, and you're going to continue in your original direction. So you're going to have, a lot of staggered bonds, and you're going to have a couple of parallel bonds, and then you're going to go back to staggered bonds, and you're going to want to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these staggered bonds again. Well, 5 chains, so it's actually 4 bonds in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to reverse the polarity again for just once. And then you go back into your original arrangement. And then you make another 5. Yeah. Another 5. 3, 4, 5. And then you reverse the polarity once more. It's a little confusing, but the point of all this extra reversing and stuff is just to give the train a little bit more character and design. So it's not just a simple cylinder of boringness. Anyway, as you attach this top part, as I just did, so you have yourself a train. I'm going to compare it to original. Pretty much identical, as in perfectly identical. So one last bit, you want to create the back. So to do that, going to create another. It's just like the front, really, with a minor difference. So just do what you did in the front again. Ring a 6, 3 high, and then you reverse the polarity, kind of like making the small wheel, except now you're making a big wheel and you're reversing it once more. Whoops. And then make sure you put it in the back, and that's just that. So you'll have one convex side and one concave side. Now, a small difference with this one is you're also going to add one more layer on top here. So you have one concave side and one kind of weird side. Anyways, you plop that on. It's going to form a second parallel bond instead of a staggered bond there. So right now we'll have a kind of fancy cylinder, which is fairly boring. We'll add the rest of the details after. So we're going to get started on the main body of the train right now, which is the fun part. So you're going to make a chain 29 long. And then, so let's work on the 29 long. So this is 29, 5, 10, 20, 29. And then you're going to copy it. So you're going to make one more on top, and then peel off the second one because you're going to double it. And now, having made that, you're going to want to pile on extra. So you're going to want to put on 9 more on top of this, which is going to use up a lot of magnets. So you want this total to be a stack of 10. The reason why I probably could have made this thinner with less magnets, but I liked having a piece that you could have stable enough to withstand, I don't know, getting moved around, which some creations are not. So that's why I made it so large. Not there yet. So I think this is 10. Alright, so I made a thing of 10 here. And so you squeeze it, make sure top. This time you don't want any little magnets sticking out the side. You just want them lined up just like that. And cut it in half in the middle. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So cut it down the middle. And now the bottom half, if you look at it, it's going to be slightly shifted off, and you're going to have a little magnet on the side. So just shift it and get rid of that. So now it's gone. And then you can just stack them next to each other, kind of like how we did the roof there. Except it's a lot more solid. And this is essentially the main core body of your train. There's a few extra details we're going to add. We're going to add that little thing that I might get on my original train. So back in here, there's this little thing where it allows you to, it looks like you're going to be able to pull other carts behind you. So we're going to pull out 7 magnets, 6 magnets, and 3 magnets. Sorry. So you're going to stick to 7 here, tricky, but what you're gonna do, you're gonna stick it right next to the one that kind of sticks out second from the top, and you're just gonna push that magnet in, and you're gonna repeat with the other side. So you have this loop, except it's not super stable. We're not even close to pretending to be stable, but it's there. So that's what your second loop of 6 magnets are for, and you're going to want to attach them to the bottom, and that should stabilize it. So the second loop, once you add it, looks kind of like that. And then with the little 3 magnets you had left over, 3 magnets, you're just going to stick them in from the bottom. Alright. Got it. So there's this part's tricky. I guess if you don't really want to kind of do that, you could just leave it as an open loop. But I think it looks more realistic with this little bit of 3 at the bottom. So what you have here is, it's almost like a little cup, which is what they would use for coupling other cars in there. See how that is? Anyways, that was a little bit more trouble than it's worth, so don't get tripped up too much on those 3 little magnets. It's fine to leave them out. That's your main body, well, the core of your main body. Now, the second part that goes on top of that is slightly more complicated. This will be the platform that holds basically everything ever on the train. So to build that, you're going to start out by building 3 more layers on top of this. So you have to remember that according to your field, it's kind of going like this and looping around like that. Or you can think of it as a loop here and a loop here. So however you think of it, I'm going to think in the loop format, and you're just going to build a loop. So you're just going to build on top of that. Make sure it's still the correct size and not something weird. Yeah. So that's 1 more layer on top. Oops. Oops, that last layer was inverted. Needs to be flipped over. There you go. So that's 1 more layer on top, and I need 2 more. Alright, so, oops, missing a couple here. So right now, I've managed to make it taller. And now that I've managed to do that, what you're going to want to do next is you're going to want to build a little bit more on end of here. This is the back end of the train. So you're going to take 8 magnets, and you're going to stick them on the back as if you were building another layer, but you're not. You're just putting 8 magnets here. See where it is, and then you're gonna do that 4 more times. So you just want this little extra bit. 8 magnets. 8 more magnets. So you have a little extra of 8 magnets right here. And then for the fun part, you're going to continue building on top of that. Well, you're going to build next to this. So this is the part where it gets a little crazy. You're going to get 15 magnets, and then you're going to double it up, and then separate them, and then combine them into one loop. So this is actually 30 magnets. And then put 3 more rings on top of this for a total of 4. And then split it. And now you want the tops of these not to look like this, but to look like that. So to look like this. And then you're just gonna stick them onto the side. There, it's gonna be a little fragile sticking on it, but you can manage. And same for the other side, so starting to grow a platform on top. Alright. Now for the fun part is that you have to move this next part of the platform actually goes down to this level, one under the original. So, for the sake of being lazy, I didn't actually count those out. I'm just going to build downwards. So, the end of this is right here, just it's easier to start on the side. And I attached out one little magnet that's hanging out a little bit. Right there. Little magnet. So attach that, and then you pull it down into the layer you want. And then you're going to have basically these two. Well, think of it this way. So you're going to have these 2 extra magnets. They're going to, but it'd be probably easier if I just showed this to you. So, yeah, these 2, you're going to go down these 2, and then you're going to go out. So, it's going to go down 1, 2, out. And then just cut them string outwards a little bit for now. Just don't worry about the other side. And then you're going to repeat with something right underneath that. So you want it like that. So you can see it goes down 1, 2 magnets, and then it goes out. It's not perfectly aligned right now, that's fine. So you have all this extra stuff lying around, and then you're just going to add to it, double it up. Oops. So now I have a fairly long string. That, and then just fold it around. It's okay to have some extra. Fold it around to the over there. And it doesn't need to be something like this. It doesn't need to be exactly this, just get them attached somehow. And then throw in extra magnets and fill in the gaps. This is kind of a weird part, but I can't think of a efficient way to create this. So right now what you have is this thing goes down and out. And you have this extra bit here. Just cut it where the front of the train is. And then adjust the polarities to match. So you're going to, well, for me, I cut it a little, no, I cut it exact, so I only need to remove one, but make sure it actually matches the rest of the ones on the same row as it. Remember, they're little bent loops, basically, so make sure it matches loops that are next to it. Okay. Now, you need to do the same for the other side. So keep our model here. And again, there's no really great scientific way of doing it. Or if there is, I haven't found it, and I didn't use it. So, darn. So just attach this again. Oh yeah, the reason why I didn't want to do this side first is because it won't work when you just use the front of your chain. You're gonna have to use another side for chain. You don't have to get to the back, just cut it somewhere and use the other side. And then you attach that one magnet. Go like that. So, and then repeat for that bottom. You don't even have to use this method at all if you don't want. Just find some way to get this part moved down. Let's see. So just skip the magnet back there. Yeah, you just have to find some way to make this little bit here work. Bend it around. Keep them. Ha! Got it. And then just cut the front. And you might have to take out an extra magnet or some. And then the front looks like that. And yeah, this part. And just to help, so if you had any extra magnets, put them back on your chain. Speaking of the chain, yeah, I just rolled up all 15 sets. It takes exactly 15 magnets. And just rolled up all 15 sets, so you have basically endless chain. For this part, you're going to do a little bit of weird stuff here. So you're going to see how this part looks and see how the model looks. So there's actually one line of staggered magnets here instead of their own parallel ones. So far you see all parallel magnets here, and you're just gonna add one row of staggered magnets. So I think you have to flip your chain backwards, or you don't. And okay, you don't need to flip your chain backwards, and just add an extra line here. Cut it right there. I don't know exactly how many magnets it is, but just fill in the gaps. No big deal. So fill in the gaps there, and then for this part you do need to flip your chain because it's the other side. And just do the exact same thing. Kind of weird, but hopefully you can see what's going on. So basically we're just adding a little bit here, and this is to help support this thing later on, so you don't have a huge gap there. So that was the hard part. This weird block is actually most of your chain, and you just did it, so yay. Guess we could do the wheels now. Do you call them wheels on the train? I don't know. So it's just more of those round things, really. I'm going to double check the polarity on this. Okay, so double check again. Alright, they're all the same. So you're just going to make a circle here, add another circle on top, ring of 6, ring of 6. And then you're going to reverse it. We've done this a few times already. The reason why I do this reversey thing is just so... oh yeah, this time you only make a layer of 2 for this. You don't go up to 3 for a second layer. And then you go back up to the third layer, and this time you're going to make 3 for this one. So it's just, so this time there's no concave, convex stuff. It's just all it's a little wavy. I don't know. Don't lose your polarity. Make sure it's correct polarity. Yeah, the reason why you use these kind of flip polarity things is just because they're rounder. If I used all of them to be all staggered bonds in between them, then it'd be a hexagon, which is not very round. And yeah, I don't know. I think they look kind of weird. Anyways, you need to make 3 more of these. So alright, next part you should create is just I think on the front. I think to use it for shoveling stuff off the tracks. Anyways, it doesn't actually fit exactly onto the train. just kind of sits in front, but if you put it correctly, it looks great. So this thing's actually made of 3 different parts, and I'll split them up. So all you need to do is create several V-shapes of the correct size and stick them together. The first one is 10 on inside per side, so 6, 9, 10, and it's per side, so you want to double it by making a second loop on top. So after doubling it, you fold it. Let me check the polarity. Okay, the polarity is the same. So you fold it like this, so there's a little pointy part coming out. And then, actually, just add a second layer in the bottom first. And then fold it so the pointy part comes out. Alright. And then the next thing to do is fold it in the middle. And so you have this. And then you add a few magnets at the bottom. So that. And that is only 3 thick. The actual thing is 4 thick. So you're going to just run around in the edge and add 1 more layer. So you have that. And then you just put a couple extra magnets at the bottom. Next, the next layer is, let's see, so next one is 8 on each side. So you make a ring of 6, add a couple more. Getting kind of crowded here. And then you double it. Whoops, messed up there. 6, 8, double it. Expand it. And add an extra layer. And then fold it. It's pretty much the same thing. So fold it with the pointy side out on top. And then fold it in half. 2 more magnets on the bottom. On each side, so it's 4. And then just add 1 extra layer all around. And then you just to finish it with 2 little magnets on the bottom. Just so when you stack them, it will be tapered like the real thing. And then the last one is 6. So just make a ring of 6, make another ring of 6. Now just 12. Double it. Same procedure really. Pointy side out. Just smaller each time. So let's see. Okay, now you have all the little bits in place. And then this part's the easy part or tricky part. I don't know. You decide. Now you just stack them. So you stack it. So look at the front. You can see how it's all tapered with the extra magnets we added. So as long as it's tapered and not looking weird, it's right. So it should be shifted 1 back like that. And that's a little kind of V-shaped thing at the front of the train. Stick that in the back. You don't need that right now. Okay, the next part we'll be needing is the front wheels. Let's see. Hopefully it comes in focus. This part. So start by making some wheels. So the wheels you want to make will actually be a little different from before. If I can get my magnets, I'll show you. So, last time we started with a core that was like this, but this time we're going to do it backwards. So we're going to have an inverted core of 6, and this is only 2 layers, not 3 this time. And then you make a ring, 3 rings of 12 on top, and you want to keep it concave on both sides. So basically what you have right now is it's following the direction of magnets right now on outside instead of, and not the inside. So inside is backwards, and then the outside is not. And we're going to make 4 of these. Okay, so now you have those. Now remember there's a little thing that went in between those that is actually ring of 8. So ring of 8, 5 high. But since we need 2 of these, you might as well just make 10 high and then just cut in half after. I think it's just cut it in half now. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to assemble the train around. Anyways, start with the main train body, and this is a crucial but odd step. There are 2 little magnets at the very tip of the train, and you're going to want to take them off and add them back to your chain. And this is actually important, otherwise I'll mess up your magnet count at the end. And anyways, next part. Add the cockpit thing, I don't know what it's called, it's a place where the conductor, engineer sits. Anyways, just snap it on the back, should line up, and let it, pop forward. It should slide in pretty flush with the rest of it. It shouldn't be sticking out any too obviously. It's not a perfect fit, but should come pretty close. This part points out a little bit. That's fine because we made the back of the engine concave back there, if you remember. Anyways, take the large wheels and you want to put them so the first one in the front, there's a really make sure that at the bottom when they bind it should be a parallel, a staggered bond. I always get those mixed up. A staggered bond between the body of the main body train and wheel. And there should be a small gap, but there should be a gap there. And then the second one, you put it just so that it's not hanging over the edge of the train. It's getting a little heavy. It's not hanging over edge of the train. And then I can flip it over, and you just want to make sure this side, the other side is identical, symmetric. So, because a non-symmetric one is weird. It doesn't. So it's symmetric. Next part is the smaller wheels. Stick them on right here. Should be a small gap between, and then you grab one of the little cylinders you made earlier. I don't think it matters which side you put it on, but if you're like me, you could just put them with the top facing this way and just kind of mash it in there. You don't really want to fully crush it, but you don't want it to pop up too much either. And then you stick on the second wheel, and it should not be hanging over the front again. I mean, maybe if it hangs over about half a magnet, it's fine, but you don't want it to be too crazy. Looking weird. The exact placement of the wheels is not too important. Just keep it symmetrical. That's important. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to get exact. Anyways, I think I kept the front this side. Yeah, however you place the cylinders on, just try to keep them, again, symmetrical. If you put them on one way, keep it the same for the other side. So now I have it. Look, notice everything here except for the cylinders are staggered bond on the side. Looks kind of like that. So the wheels are actually touching the ground, but so is the rest of the train, which keeps it strong because the wheels aren't strong enough to support the weight of the train all by themselves. Alright, if you remember also on our model train earlier, you'll notice that there are these kind of bars sticking up here and there. So each of those are actually exactly 12 magnets long. So you're going to want to make some ring of 12. Several ways to do it, but I think this is the fastest. So you make this little cylinder and just split it apart. All of these are 12, so you cut one in half. And what you're trying to do is just keep it, let's get it closer. Want it to be staggered, keep mixing those up, staggered with the wheel on the bottom for the bigger wheel. So staggered on the bottom. It might not be perfectly centered because the wheels are always a little bit different. It's fine if it's a little off. And then for this one, it's just on top. Just again, it may or may not be perfectly centered. I usually get about half magnet off. I don't know if it's avoidable. So repeat for the next side. Remember to keep them symmetric. Keeping them symmetric is more important than following the placement I follow in this video perfectly. So you have all that down. And then main body, you just stick it on. Just make sure it's touching the back. Remember we had that, had that little nick there. It doesn't fit all the way to the end, but you know, it's there. And remember when we took out those two magnets out, now there's these two magnets here that kind of fit into that position. They're not exact, and actually this entire placement of this, whatever this is, snowplow, it's not exact, but it's kind of close, and it's going to be at a slight angle pointing up. And from the side it looks like that. Not bad. It's just, if it doesn't work right the first time, which is really likely, just cut it off and try it again, because yeah, there's no exact science to it. Just try to get it fit. All the stuff that goes on top of the train, you want to put that on. So all that is a 4 high ring of 6. So ring of 6, 4 high. Take extra magnet and fill in the hole at the top. And then you just want a 2 high ring of 4, and then a 5 high ring, 2 high ring of 5 with a magnet on top. And then they will be on the train in this order. And then 6 high ring of 6, should be easy to remember. And then the fun part is that you put a ring of 12 again around the top, and then you kind of manipulate around until it falls into this pattern. It tries to fall in this pattern, so it's not too hard. And then do it again, right below this. So you should have 8 magnets left over. So you have this smokestack right now, and the light in the front is 2 high. It's just 2 high ring of 4. So it's like that, and you want the top of that right to match with the bottom of this. So it will be, this time it should be a parallel bond, not a staggered bond. And yeah, so stick it on like that. Like that. And then it should touch at the top a down point on this kind of squiggly line that goes around. Anyways, this goes right in the center, so move these, keep them in order, it's easier that way. And your light is right now, the front of the light is a down pointing thing, and you can just attach that and just plop it on. And something I've realized is that no matter how hard you try, the train likes to always flip a little bit off to one side or the other. I'm not sure why. something with the magnet alignment poles, whatever. So just, it's okay if it's off. I never got it right. And then placement of the other details. This one I put in kind of somewhere in the middle of this ring of 5 thing, between using these as a guideline, but in the middle of this segment. This ring of 4 thing, I put it right after that, right after, or touching actually, this divider here. And then this one, I also put touching the divider here. Gonna have a little extra room left over there, but that's perfect because we're going to attach these, which just, they're also kind of weird. They fit, they should be bonding parallel, staggered, but they don't fit super exactly because this is not a super exact thing. So you just kind of have to sometimes, I don't know, shift the thing around, try to get it close. Yeah. So they should be, in fact, okay. Alright, anyways, you get it close enough. These don't fit exactly either. They're just kind of sticking out weirdish angles. But with the top, you just want to attach your top on. And this top is not too bad to attach on. You just try to line them up somewhere on the bottom. Try to keep it symmetric. I'd say the key is keeping it symmetric over making it match me in the video, because it doesn't ever match, sadly. And you can see this is clearly off. And you will simply shift it around. I guess you could use some cards to help. Until it is pretty much symmetric. I think it is. And once you finish the last bit, you will have a train. And yeah, sorry this video isn't quite as smooth as the other ones. It's a little too large to memorize. But it's not really too hard, I think. Hope you enjoy your train. This is great. Yeah. Enjoy.